welcome to Sabes Que. Did you know I'm your host, Jesse Bermudez? My co-host Pablo Batista is out on the West Coast rehearsing with her. They got a few engagements there, and one of them is the Rose Bowl. So, exciting. Well, folks, guess what? I'm excited about today's show. Uh, and today's guests are from Siempre Salsa Philly, which, by the way, I am also a partner. And we're going to talk all about what we do. I want to start by introducing Robert Bernberg, former co-owner of and Business Affairs Counsel for Latin Beat Magazine and the director of Siempre Salsa Philly, and Carlos Sanchez, co-founder of Siempre Salsa Philly and leader of Orquesta de Barrio. And of course, yours truly, Jesse Bermudez. Welcome, guys.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Jess.
All right. We finally got a chance to all come together and talk about one of the things that we all love.
Well,
Rob,
we do that a lot informally. It's an honor to be able to do it on Sabes Que.
Yeah, all right. And you know what, Rob, I'm going to start with you. And what I normally do is I always ask everybody a little bit of their background, where they came up a little bit, not the whole history, but enough so folks know what area you come from, the whole thing. So how about a little bit of that from you, Rob?
My pleasure, Jess. I was born in the Bronx, raised in Paramus, New Jersey. Went to Syracuse University and came to Philly for Temple Law School. Up until about 1992, I was a nice Jewish lawyer. And at that time, my law firm was sold, and it enabled me to follow my passions, and in turn led to an endless love affair with Latin music, Latin culture, and most especially salsa.
Well, Rob, how did you discover salsa?
Well, I'll tell you, Jess, I had the great fortune to live in Philadelphia, and as such, encountered an organization. I think the name of it was AMLA, and they had this amazing executive director who was so gracious and welcoming with respect to anybody that wanted to learn about the music and culture, and afforded me an opportunity to jump right in. I took a couple of percussion classes at AMLA, dance lesson, and from there went on to become a consistent listener to David Ortiz on WRTI. I was a constant visitor to Centro Musica. And while at Centro Musica, part of my studies in our music had to do with picking up the current issue of Latin Beat magazine. So that's how my education started. And very early along the way, I had the great pleasure of seeing Orquesta del Barrio perform. And the band captured my heart and captured my imagination and prompted me to become the executive producer on their first recording. And things have proceeded ever since in a way that I just have only deeper and deeper affection for our music and for our community. And I take a great deal of delight in sharing what I know with other people.
Well, you know what, Rob, you mentioned that you will go to Centro Musical and you pick up a copy of Latin Beat magazine. But how did you get connected to Latin Beat magazine?
Well, once again, getting back to Orquesta del Barrio, having produced their initial recording, it was appropriate to reach out to a variety of people. So along the way, I shared a copy with the publishers of Latin Beat, and we realized that we had much more in common than the music alone. Rudy and Yvette Manguel were still early in the rollout of Latin Beat magazine and looking for opportunities to have an even greater impact. And I bought into their agenda. And I was so fortunate as to become part of the Latin beat family and to get to experience the very best of our music from a front row seat.
Well, Latin Beat magazine was kind of like the Bible. That's where everybody went to read to find out all about these guys that they were listening to the music all along. But there was a celebration, a Latin Beat, the Siempre Salsa celebration. How did that come about, Rob?
Well, Jess, Rudy and Yvette Manuel, my wonderful partners in Latin Beat magazine, were based on the West Coast. And I always felt that there was a lot of our music happening, of course, on the East Coast. So that afforded me the opportunity to get involved very directly with regard to the greater New York metropolitan area. And there was no doubt that after 9/11 back in 2001, our music in terms of live venues and performance opportunities was really understandably devastated. And there was real concern as to whether or not our music was going to come back, and if so, in what form. So I took the opportunity of using the great brand name that Latin Beat magazine enjoyed, and we created the first New York Siempre Salsa Philly Festival. And the idea in doing that was to enlist all of the venues, including the Copacabana, including Ralph Mercado's LQ, La Maganette, and so on and so forth. And we planned a week-long celebration, which actually fell the week between Puerto Rico's Day of Salsa and Miami's Calle. We figured that New York needed to create the bridge between those events. And everyone was ever so cooperative, and we like to think that that was of some benefit in terms of getting our music and our artists back on track. And of course, we celebrated Siempre Salsa Philly Week, Siempre Salsa Week in New York City for several years thereafter. And I recall one very special celebration, just if I may, where you were on hand at LQ, Ralph Mercado's LQ nightclub, when we presented Johnny Pacheco with a Siempre Salsa Lifetime Achievement Award. And to think of the people that were there that night, Ray Barreto, Oscar Hernandez, Paquito de Rivera, on, many incredible people, incredible artists that all turned out to honor Mr. Pacheco. But for me, it was also a delight to see you in the company of Ramon Rodriguez and Luis Bauzo, who were the directors of Boys Harbor Conservatory in New York, because in my mind and my understanding, it was both AMLA and Boys Harbor that really set the tone nationally in terms of what it really meant to acquire an ideal education in our music and in our culture. So that was an added delight for me.
Well, you know what? I was really honored. I didn't expect that. But I felt good because I was with the big boys that night,
and that's where you always belong.
Johnny Pacheco and the brothers that run the Boys Harbor. I said, "Oh wow, this is wonderful." I'll never forget that evening. That's one of those evenings you never forget.
And it was all the more special because you were able to join us.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Rob? Besides, the work that you did with the festival and this and that, you also did a recording, okay? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, Jess. Back in 2005, the recording environment was such that the major labels were completely dominant, and they were the only ones that could get airplay on commercial radio. And we at Latin Beat knew that there were an awful lot of incredibly talented musicians whose music was not finding its way to the public. So we brainstormed a bit and came up with the notion of a recording. Latin Beat Magazine presents Siempre Salsa, the best of independent salsa. And that was an opportunity for the likes of Jimmy Delgado, Chino Nunez, and many other independent artists, a vehicle for folks to hear their music, make it accessible, and hopefully create some additional opportunities for those independent artists as well. And in addition to begin the compilation, I was fortunate enough to work with Ricky Gonzalez, who produced and arranged the original Salsa Para Siempre anthem. That was the first track on that particular album. And it really speaks to all of us who love our music about just the import that our music has to always be here, and we have to always do what we need to do to make sure that this wonderful tradition goes forward.
Fantastic. Well, Mr. Engineer, can you play that cut from this recording that Rob did and let the folks get a sense of what it sounded like?
Nació hija del sol y de la arena, bautizada por la clave y el bongo. Su ritmo y su sabor borran siempre mi dolor, amiga que nunca me falla. Ya los músicos empiezan a sonarla y la gente cogen alas y se zumban a bailar. Ahora me tocará con destino al corazón, al ritmo de un tambor. ¡Ay, ay! Qué contento vivo yo al saber que mi rumba y mi salsa siempre conmigo estarán. Seguiré rondando por este
Fantastic. And you know what I want to say to the folks out there that may be watching this interview, and those that like to collect music, I think you need to collect and try to get that specific CD. It's some great music on it, and not only that, but it has some history attached to it. So, I'm sure that those that may be interested could get in touch with Rob Bernberg, and he can let you know how to do that.
For sure. And just, I want to mention, I know most people recognize the wonderful voice of Ray Sepulveda, but that should not go unmentioned. We were delighted to have Ray Sepulveda on that recording. And that was actually the original Siempre Salsa All-Stars, which was pretty much Mark Anthony's band with Ray Sepulveda doing his singing. And of course, from that original point, we've gone on to create the Siempre Salsa All-Stars here in Philadelphia in their current rendition.
Yeah, well, this is why I'm telling the folks that they need to try to get a copy of that and have for their collection. It's just an awesome recording and a lot of history with it. So then now, Rob, talk to me a little bit about how Siempre Salsa Philly came into existence.
I'd be glad to do that, Jess, but I might cause you to blush.
Again?
Yeah, well, we know the story, and I think the three of us recognized the importance of our music, and we saw indications that our music wasn't being supported in quite the right way, and that we needed to do something about it. So we borrowed the Siempre Salsa concept, introduced it in Philadelphia, and along the way acquired two amazing allies in the process. One, of course, was Councilwoman Maria Quinones Sanchez, who immediately embraced our concept and our organization, and she led City Council to establish Siempre Salsa Week, Siempre Salsa Philly Week, celebrated every year in our city in July. And also, of course, the other big celebration, the annual celebration of Jesse Bermudez Day.
Oh, see, I knew you was going to say something like that.
Well, I got to tell it like it is, Jess. I got to tell it like it is. But let's not forget, you may recall, the three of us went up to West New York, and we met with Maestro H.E.R. Maisanabe.
Right.
Right? And we talked about this concept, and I remember how we got the blessing from the Pope. He said basically, "I love Jesse. If Jesse wants it, count me in."
Yeah, well, you know.
So that here we are.
Yeah, well, you know, we have a team here, you know, and that's what's important, that everybody's in the same mindset, pushing it to the same direction to accomplish something that's so important for our music and for our community and for our people, but not just our people, the whole entire people in the city of Philadelphia. And guess what? Engineer, can you play that video at Piazza so we can get a sense of the power of this music and how much it is loved? That gives you an idea of the love that the people here in Philadelphia have for Siempre Salsa Philly music. And this is why we're all together. This is why we're all going to stay together, because we have to take it to another level. And Philadelphia has to finally recognize that we're part of the fabric of the music scene here in Philadelphia. Indeed. So now let's take a break. You had something to say?
I was going to say, sharing the love. We're doing the same thing at Love Park. We'll be there August 20th with Jimmy George, and it's all about sharing the love.
Yeah, well, we'll come back and talk a little bit about that. Okay, let's take a break now, and then we'll be back with Carlos Sanchez.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
Now, well, we're back, and guess what? Now we're going to talk to Carlos, because Carlos been sitting there, and you know he's like, wait a minute, I got some things to say. So welcome, Carlos, and let's do the same thing that I did with Rob. How about you just talking a little bit about your background, and then we'll move on into the music scene, okay?
I was born originally in Reading, Pennsylvania. My parents brought me here at the age of 11, where I grew up in El Bloque de Oro. And across the street, there was a gentleman by the name of Jesse Bermudez that worked at Human Relations with Max Santiago. And I got a chance to meet him. And at the time in the city of Philadelphia, there was so much movement in the music taking place in that era. I was the youngest Latin singer in the city of Philadelphia at the age of 12 and 13, performing at the Spanish American with La Quetarencia with Ricky Diaz, my first music teacher. From there, I met a whole lot of other musicians and started working in the city of Philadelphia. And an organization was formed called the Latin American Musician Association, which I'm one of the founders. And Mr. Jesse Bermudez was the executive director. And playing music and working and learning from all the workshops that were held at AMLA, which was a fabulous place to come and learn not only the history of the music, but learn how to play an instrument, from guitar to piano to vocal lessons to any instrument that you chose to want to learn. AMLA had those facets. And it grew to the point where we started producing concerts and shows and working not only in the city of Philadelphia, but throughout the whole state of Pennsylvania and all over. And I had the pleasure of working with AMLA under Jesse and learning a whole lot about the business. Years later, I recorded my first CD, which I thank Robert Bernberg for producing and believing in us, and still believing in us today, and mentoring me in the business of the recording aspects of it. And together with Pablo Chino Nunez, Ricky Gonzalez, Humberto Ramirez, and Isidro Infante, and Willie Luis, we recorded our first CD, and that was Sonido del Barrio. After that, I was blessed to record El Amanecer, which was CD number 2, which were both editors' pick from Descarga magazine. We also were able to work and play in places that most people wouldn't even ever think of doing. We were able to play in Westgate in New York, in Nyack. We were able to play for several presidents and a lot of wonderful concerts and good memories. But we're now celebrating 25 years of the recording in the history of Orquesta del Barrio. And Robert Bernberg has been part of that. So have you, Jesse Bermudez. You've been very instrumental in helping us cultivate our art, our craft, and growing. And one of the most fondest things that I can remember is when Siempre Salsa first got our first break. We were working and running 2 nightclubs in the casinos in Atlantic City, and we were employing over 148 musicians and had a rotation of 16 bands in 2 different clubs, which Jesse would MC and Rob would promote the heck out of it. And together we all created the push of Siempre Salsa Philly, and the rest is history.
Well, Carlos, it sounded like some great history there. And I just wanted to go back to the Siempre Salsa thing, because you're the guy that's part of this partnership that kind of like oversees making the things happen that we plan to happen. So, and that's not an easy thing to do. It's about, talking to a lot of people, doing a whole lot of things and making things happen, being on time, being this. So, I just want the folks to know, how you keep it together, And the other thing is that I wanted to say, and I don't know whether both of you can answer it or just you, Carlos, but what has Siempre Salsa Philly accomplished in this last 6 years?
Well, first of all, we've employed over 300 plus musicians throughout the whole tri-state area, which is a blessing. Not to say that we've also found entities and places to take this wonderful music. The Piazza, Love Park, down Center City, and even as close as going all the way out to New York City and performing at the Dreams Club. And it's just been a remarkable ride and a remarkable feeling and excitement and exhilaration. But we can't forget that this vision came from Robert Bernberg. He had this in his heart. I was just someone that can get people and gather them together and explain to them what our mission was, and everybody was aboard.
Carlos, I have to interrupt just to say, as I always do, we're 3 individuals, but we share a common heart. And in terms of impact, we currently have more than 4,500 dedicated followers on Facebook. And Jess, in addition to the standard Siempre Salsa Philly awards that we've been able to present each year at City Hall, let's not forget the importance of the Jesse Bermudez Pioneer Awards, wherein we honor those artists, upon whose shoulders we stand. So I like to think that together we've accomplished quite a bit, but yet there's so much more to be done because our music is so wonderful. And like we were alluding to earlier, it doesn't just benefit our people to share, our artists in our community, and we do refer to it as the world's best music and the awesome community that it comes from, that it emanates from. But beyond that, people outside of our community, they need what we have desperately. They need to have lighter hearts. They need to appreciate the joy of life in our community, and our music and our culture delivers that to them. And that's every bit as important an opportunity as we have at hand. We're the messengers, and we just have to keep at it and continue to share all of these wonderful things. And I think good things will continue to follow.
Well, guys, I always tell everybody to check the music out because, I've been involved in a lot of genres of music, but this particular music brings people together. When you have a music that is so powerful that it brings people together, no matter where they come from, where they're Asians, where they're African Americans, where they're Latinos, where they're Anglos, it does not make a difference. They come together, and it's almost like, wow, this music gives us an opportunity to really be with people that maybe I don't hang with every day. What do you think, Carlos?
Well, listen, you were able to bring the cream of the crop together and put it in a pot and cook it. You had a maestro, Dr. Lenny Prieto, run AMLA in his first music program. We've had amazing musicians like Pablo Batista, Elio Villafranca, and the list goes on and on and on. Listen, the beauty of all the wonderful people coming together for one purpose is an amazing triumph.
But you know why they came together too? Because they saw that it was a wonderful experience to be able to start nourishing young people at an early age. And my thing was, I love this, but I want to make sure that they teaching them the right thing. And so we had the best teachers. They taught them the right way to play an instrument, to learn about it. And so I'll never regret that part of my life at all. On the contrary, I'm so glad it was able to happen. So Carlos, I want to go back to you now, because I want you to talk a little bit about the making of this current recording. And this one identifies 25 years, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It actually celebrates our 25th year as a recording artist. And the band started 38 years ago, going on 39. But as a recording entity, we were blessed to have Robert Bernberg believe in us, and we did Sonido del Barrio. Then El Amanecer. This third CD is a compilation of 3 amazing singers, including me overseeing the project. But we have Frankie Vasquez, who's an amazing singer, called as Sonero del Barrio all over the world, and Anthony Colon, one of Philly's finest singers from Juanadía, Puerto Rico, who's been my brother and my mentor, and we worked together since we performed in his uncle band, La Queta La Piñón. And I have the lovely Miss Evelyn Acevedo singing on this album, and she's going to be known as La Sonera del Barrio. And this CD happened during COVID. Most people were very limited in what they could do. I grabbed my home and made it my dojo and wrote beautiful songs that are on the CD that will be featured on this CD and will be out hopefully next month. And we're grateful to bring this wonderful music to the ears and the audience all over the world.
Well, Carlos, I'm going to ask the engineer, can he please play that cut of yours on this CD called Rumba Buena? That's going to be a dangerous album. It is hot. It is hot. Whoa, 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 whoa. You better hurry up and finish that, man, so I can give me my copy, right?
Actually, it's done. It's actually done. We're just waiting for the mixing and the mastering of the last song that we recorded. It's called H.E.R, which features Evelyn Acevedo on the vocals. And it's a trilogy of a character I created called Mr. Blah, blah, blah. And that's to educate women, to let them know, don't fall for those little sweet lines. And it's just all done with love and fun, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And guys, there's a couple more questions that I want to ask. Both of you can answer them or whatever, but one of the questions is, what will be the nature of this year's celebration?
Well, you know, Jess, on account of COVID, everybody is dealing with a difficult environment. So whereas ordinarily we have our big reception at City Hall, co-hosted by Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez, couldn't do it indoors this year. City Hall would not allow. So of course, we did the big event live at Love Park, and we had the Siempre Salsa All-Stars. And let's face it, for us, Siempre Salsa Philly, it's no longer a week celebration. It's a year-round celebration, and we continue to share our music as we always have with different cultures, and always looking for different creative approaches. I say that the magic is in the music, and we're the messengers, and it's a year-round task. In fact, next month, later this month, the Siempre Salsa All-Stars will be performing at the Phillies game, their celebration of Hispanic heritage. And again, that opportunity is a new opportunity in terms of sharing our music with a wider audience. And this coming Saturday, the Siempre Salsa All-Stars will perform at Music Fest in Bethlehem. So we got a whole bunch of things going on, and a full agenda going forward. And we just want to thank everyone from the bottom of our hearts for their support.
You know, Rob, as you were speaking, you used a word that I think is so important and a lot of people don't realize. And you used the word messengers. And that's what we're all about. That's what our music is all about. You know, this is what we do. We do what we do to reach the people, you know? Maybe sometimes we don't have a statement, but maybe sometimes all they want to do is dance and enjoy themselves.
And then we still get to see the magic unfold, because that's where it happens, between cultures, shoulder to shoulder.
Right.
We are diversity in action.
Yes, indeed, Rob. And now I got one more thing that I need to ask, and so let's see how you guys can both answer this to see how both of you feel. What might be the future hold for Siempre Salsa Philly and salsa music in general?
All right. From my point of view, Jess, I believe that there's an incredible demand for our music. We have to match our music with the demand, and on account of what's happened with the lack of radio airplay and so on and so forth, and the need to have at least 10 to a dozen musicians to make our music the way it needs to be made, we have to look more and more to corporate sponsorship. And this year, that's one thing that we'll be focusing on. Like I say, a lot of people talk a good game when it comes to diversity. We deliver diversity, and we do it in a very joyful way. As a result, from a corporate sponsorship standpoint, we have a great deal to offer. And I do believe that going forward, that corporate sponsorship locally, regionally, and nationally is going to have to be a big part of our music's future.
Fantastic. And Carlos, where you feeling? How you see things going?
Well, first of all, our music is one of the world's best music, in my opinion. And when we promote and do concerts, we bring diversity. We bring different types of ethnicities, cultures, and they love what we're doing. And we pray that we can continue to give them what they deserve and yearn for. And having Robert and yourself being the mentors that have guided me to learn all these wonderful things that we do and accomplish, the world is open for us to embrace it, just like the world will embrace us in the music as well.
Well, you know what? Before our show ends, Rob, can you talk a little bit about how the people can get to Siempre Salsa Philly, how they can get to you if they have some suggestions? How can they get to you if they have some funding, Rob,
Well, okay, that both sound good to me, Jess, and they can do it simply via email, Siempre Salsa Philly @gmail.com. That's Siempre Salsa Philly @gmail.com. Or they can send us a message on Facebook. All we need is a name and a telephone number. We will reach out to those folks. And again, I do particularly want to appeal to our corporate community. There are great opportunities here for a win-win scenario, and we're hoping that our local and regional sponsors will indeed step up.
When you gave the address, is that all together, like one word all together?
Yes, one word, Siempre, Siempre, Salsa, SALSA, Philly, PHILLY, @gmail.com. So all one word, Siempre Salsa Philly @gmail.com.
Now, when they do that, does that also go to you have a couple of pages. Do you want to mention those on Facebook?
Well, the only one I would mention, if I may, is there's one that we utilize called New to Salsa. And we use New to Salsa as a way to introduce primarily non-Latinos or Latinos who have not somehow been exposed to our music. We use that a little bit more for educational purposes. And that page again is New to Salsa on Facebook, NEWTO Salsa, SA rather. I'm sorry, New to Salsa.
Oh, fantastic. So, folks, you've heard how to get to us. and let us know. Actually, too, let us know if you like what we're doing, any suggestions, anything really, just stay in touch with us. And we know that you're out there and that you know about Siempre Salsa Philly. Now, before we end our interview, can both of you talk a little bit about some suggestion that you would have for upcoming young artists, or some suggestion that's in reference to the music and what we do?
Never stop believing in your dreams. Never stop believing in your dreams. Always chase your dreams, because dreams become reality. Me as a young man, I had all these aspirations, and years later, as a mature man today, I can honestly say that if I die tomorrow, I died happy, because I had Jesse Bermudez walk me through what music was about as a young age and educated me. I had Rob Bernberg help me put my dreams and make them reality. And to that, I tell everyone, always fight for what you believe in and never stop believing in yourself and in your dreams. They're achievable and you can accomplish them.
Well, you know what, Carlos, that's real important what you said, because if you gotta have a dream in life. If you don't have a dream, I don't know. I guess I can't say what happens if you don't have a dream, because I've been dreaming all my life, and I'm still dreaming.
Dreams come true for so many people, Jess, and that's why you're so beloved.
Yes, definitely. Winners never quit, and quitters never win.
Right.
I want to thank you guys for making this interview wonderful, and for us to let the folks that are going to listen to this interview learn a little bit about us and understand that, hey, it's about numbers. And the more people that support us and follow us, the more we're going to be able to take our music to another level, take our culture to a level of more respect. There's a whole lot of things that are tied in, and they all can be done with the music. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
God bless you, Jesse, for all you've done and all you continue to do. We love you.
Okay.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be on the show and support you in any way we can, because you're part of us.
Yeah. And as long as I'm around, I'm going to be with you. Don't worry about that.
Love it.